So the other day I spent 7 hours on my phone, which I know is really bad. Let's all relish in that moment of shame. Shame. Now, that's not my typical screen time average on my phone. That generally averages out to about 3.5 hours a day, which if you add up over the course of the year, adds up to about 1,277 hours, which equates to about 50 days, which is nearly 2 months of my life. 2 months of my life, a year, just looking at my phone. So in an effort to lower my screen time and to do things I actually think are worth doing, I'm going to be gamifying my hobbies in an effort to lower my screen time, and I'm going to be bringing you along with me. Let's get started. To actually change things though, you first need a compelling reason as to why. So why change this habit for me? Basically, it comes down to 3 main things. First reason being, the world feels particularly bad right now. And even if the world sucks, I still want to actually enjoy my life. Reason number 2 is the economy seems to also suck really bad right now. And scrolling seems to encourage a lot of consumerism. And I'd really rather be consuming more consciously and consuming things I actually want to. And lastly, doom scrolling and scrolling mindlessly in general just makes me feel bad. It doesn't actually matter, and I'd really rather be spending my time doing things I like or that have a meaningful impact to me. Kind of the idea of create more than you consume. And the thing is, even if we're living through another world-altering event, historical, unprecedented moment, insert all the adjectives, we as individuals still only get one life. And yes, maybe some of this one life may be tainted and colored by some of the existential dread and crises that are going on. But I refuse to give up the rest of my life and the rest of the joy I could have in my life just because of circumstance. Honestly, with everything that's going on right now, it feels even more important now than ever to make the most of your days. Instead of mindlessly scrolling or doom scrolling, I'd rather be spending the free time I have not consumed by existential dread to be doing something fulfilling that matters or that I just enjoy and like. That's actually why we're outside for this video instead of being trapped in my basement. And as much as I love my basement, I love being outside and I don't get to do it as much. So that's what we're doing today. Even despite the construction noise and the birds chirping really, really loud, I love the birds, we're doing this outside despite production conditions. So now that we actually have a compelling reason as to why we actually want to change our lives and stop spending all of our days scrolling, what does the science say about changing habits? Because scrolling, according to science and psychology, is basically just another habit. Because if every day counts and every day matters, how can we be as efficient as possible in making this change? And there are 2 ways of thinking about habits outside of maintenance. You either make a habit or break a habit. And whether you're making a habit or breaking a habit, you have to be aware of habit loops. Do I need my sunglasses? It is really bright. Right here. I think I need the sunglasses. Hold on. Now you're in Victorian sunglass mode. You have to be aware of habit loops, which according to James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is what prompts you to engage within a habit and is followed by the loop of cue, craving, response, and reward. And then this project will be looking to both start a new habit, which is to engage in more hobbies, and break an old habit, which is mindless scrolling. And honestly, doing both of those things is kind of a tall order. But the thing is, we're going to try anyway, because the goal of this project is not to be perfect. The goal here is to try and make as much progress towards living closer in alignment with a life I actually enjoy and actually care about doing, that isn't just filled with screen time and mindless scrolling. Closer we can get to that goal is good by me, even if it's not perfect. I'll also be following other methods described in James Clear's book Atomic Habits in order to reach my goal of scrolling less and doing hobbies more. To do that, I'm going to be making scrolling as friction-filled as possible. First, I've gone ahead and made my phone invisible to me at the times of the day I am most vulnerable to it, which is the start of the day and the end of the day. My bedroom is now a phone-free zone and has been for just a little while now. So now my phone charges in the basement every night, so whenever I wake up in the morning, I don't see my phone at the start of the day, and I have to actually get ready and do all my things before I can even look at my phone. At bedtime, there are no late night scrolling sessions in my bed, keeping it a sacred space, while also preventing me from just scrolling for hours and hours and hours before bedtime. To make my phone as unattractive to use as possible, I've also set it up to the point where it is kind of a red hue at all hours a day, and I have a shortcut to change change that red hue when I actually need my phone, like when I'm doing my actual workouts, or I'm using it as a GPS to quickly change it and to also quickly change it back. I've also made it more difficult for me to mindlessly scroll by deleting Instagram, Pinterest, and Blue Sky from my phone. Right now, YouTube is the only one that remains. It might have to go, but I do like to listen to YouTube videos because I have YouTube Premium and I like to listen to the long form formats when I'm like on a walk or I'm running. Lastly, I've been making scrolling unsatisfying by making this video. If I fail in this video and I'm obligated to make a follow-up video where I detail my failures, that is going to really hurt my pride and my ego, and I don't want to fail and I don't want to feel unsatisfied. I just want to stop scrolling. So in order to create a habit, you kind of do the inverse of all the things that you would do to break a habit. So in this case, to make my hobbies an actual habitual habit, I'm going to make them obvious, make them easy, make them attractive, and make them satisfying. On top of that, I'm actually going to be gamifying my hobbies in order to make them feel more satisfying, rewarding, and attractive. This is how. Gamification, if you're unfamiliar, is the process of adding game-like elements to non-game activities. Things like points, rewards, and achievements. According to Forbes, there are 4 overarching ways that you can add gamification into your life. By adding levels for rewards, creating points or achievements, sharing in community, and creating a sense of competition. I'll be applying all of these principles to the hobbies that I aim to foster. First, for all the hobbies I want to engage in, I've created a levels checklist for each one of them. Each hobby, for now, has 3 different levels with different rewards and achievements and benchmarks within each of them. In addition to that, I'm also making a calendar that I'm going to have very visible by the side of my desk, that for each day I engage in one of those hobbies, I'm going to be putting an associated sticker on that day to keep the streak going and to visually see my progress and my engagement in those activities. The goal is to get as many stickers as possible. I'll also be setting up achievements for screen time limits on the day or overarching averages. For example, if I hit 3 hours in a day or 2.5 hours in a day or an overall average of 2 hours per week, that gets an achievement. For each achievement, I'll get some sort of reward for myself, probably likely a cookie, because I love cookies and that's honestly a good enough reward for me. I will take that. Or like some Mexican queso. Yeah. Those are good rewards. But for me, what I really love is a goal and a list. And I love checking things off those lists. So the focus here is each hobby has different levels and each level has a different checklist. And I will be trying to check off as many of those check items as I can. For me, this makes all these activities both attractive and satisfying. This is where I want to put in a note about not all screen time being equal. Now, obviously, video games, movies, and TV shows are all inherently linked to screen time. However, for me, this type of media is something I can actually meaningfully engage in and adds to my life. It is not reductive. There's so much we can gain from stories and documentaries and getting in touch with the feelings that come about from different types of media, whether that be video games, movies, or TV shows, and they all come from screen time. Video games can create a sense of true achievement. It can also be incredibly social, spent, with friends or family. And it actually makes your brain work if you're playing the right kind of games, because you start to get your brain working on problem-solving activities. Movies and TV shows give you an opportunity to see a different perspective or be invited into a different world. And opening yourself up to that allows you to theorize, criticize, and connect with your friends while you discuss. As a designer, I want to make it very clear that I am pro-art and just anti-mindless scrolling. I'm a big fan of storytelling and art, and this is just the medium in a lot of forms of storytelling that take place. They're meant to be played with and engaged, and I don't think there's anything wrong with them just because they come from a screen. Here are all the hobbies I'll be gamifying and tracking throughout this process, and hopefully reaching level 1 of each. First, we have baking and cooking. This is things like making sourdough bread, making croissants, making a cheesecake, trying out new recipes. Next, we have gaming. This is putting in some hours in Stardew Valley, Fields of Mysteria, cracking open some games that I have yet to play that I already own. Things like Zelda and Hollow Knight and other games. The next thing is art. This is going to be engaging in things like colored pencils, watercolor, gouache, even things like pixel art, Blender, digital art. The next is crafting. This is things like wool felting, sewing, cross stitch, polymer clay. Next is adventuring. This is things like museums visited, times I've spent hiking, gone camping, hung out with my friends, taken my dog on a nice long walk, any other mini adventures that get me out into the world and adventuring. And last but not least is media, which is strictly going to encompass books, movies, and TV shows. In terms of adding an element of competition, for now, I'll be competing with myself. Listen, the overall goal of this project is not to have the lowest screen time of all time of anyone. I know there are lots of you out there that have 0 screen time of all. I don't know how you're watching this video, but there's people out there with 0 screen time. And that's not gonna be me. That's not for me. I am literally a content creator and a graphic designer. I'm gonna have screen time. For me, this is instead a lot more about limiting my screen time that is mindless and actively reductive to the life I currently live. It's making more time and freeing my time up for things I actually enjoy and find meaningful that I really want to do, but that feels like screen time and phones and stuff have all kind of consumed. So for now, I'll be focusing on competing with myself on a weekly and a monthly basis. I will focus on achievements and averages, things like limiting my screen time days and then also my screen time averages, but more importantly, I want to see higher engagement in the hobbies and activities that I want to be doing. Ideally, if I'm spending more time engaging with my hobbies, that means I'm spending less time engaged in mindless scrolling. And lastly, to address the community aspect of this all, I'm going to be sharing this journey along with you. This serves to both keep me accountable and to create a sense of community around this project. I invite you all to follow along with me, keep me accountable, and also you are more than welcome to join me along in this project. This also hits on James Clear's satisfaction part of making new habits because I want to create a satisfying video for you all. While keeping me accountable, I want to actually make progress and do things with this project so I can actually have something to show for it at the end, so there's some payoff in the video. Lastly, to make these hobbies easier, I'm going to do minor things like actually plug my Nintendo Switch in because I needed to get a multi-plug and blah blah. There was not enough plug. Anyway, so I'm actually going to be having it plugged in full time, bringing over my craft supplies closer to my desk, things like that. That's the plan. The goal is ideally to make it through level 1 of all of my hobbies in 30 days. Subscribe below and turn on the bell notification so you can follow along with me along this journey and know when I have uploaded episode 2 in this series. And if you can't wait for updates on this little journey that I am going on, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Creative Mess in Progress, which is also linked down below for updates in the interim. And I want to acknowledge that maybe it is weird that I am gamifying my hobbies, things I am actually supposed to be wanting to do and feel compelled to do. But I don't think I'm alone in this. Scrolling has taken up so much of people's lives in the last decade. At this point, it's really just an ingrained part of, society and life in general. It's also engineered to be addictive, so it makes sense that people are having issues with this. Scrolling really has become one of those things that takes up all the time that we could be using to be doing things we actually want to be doing. Don't forget to comment and like down below. It really does help me out. And I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think of all of this, whether that be screen time, phone usage, gamifying hobbies, hobbies overall, whatever your thoughts are, let me know. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. What do you think of this one, Sable? Pretty good. It's a big slobber. That was a big slobber, Sable. That was a big one.